That's Nick.
And that's Joseph. And today we're here to talk about Sonic the Hedgehog Part 2, which will be released courtesy of Paramount April 8th, 2022.
The director,
Jeff Fowler. It's his second film, his first being 2020's Sonic the Hedgehog.
I agreed to watch this one because we reviewed the first one.
We did. I kind of forgot that we had.
That was one of our first videos. It was in the...
It was right before the pandemic hit, really, February 2020.
And I recall thinking it was cute for what it was.
I recall liking Jim Carrey a lot more in that film than I did in this.
Basic story, Jim Carrey's back as Dr. Robotnik. From the previous film, we saw that he had been banished to the Mushroom Planet. So the opening of this film is him on that planet trying to get off. And he sends off a signal into the universe using one of Sonic's quills. And he gets a response. And it happens to be a character named Knuckles, who is kind of like Sonic, except he's an echidna. And there's a big backstory about Knuckles, but he's looking for Sonic because he believes Sonic knows where this emerald is, and this emerald contains a lot of power. Anyone who holds it can basically run the universe. Okay, so he tells Jim Carrey's character that, and Jim Carrey says, "Oh, well, if you take me back to Earth, I can tell you exactly where Sonic is." But obviously, Dr. Robotnik is a bad character and will manipulate Knuckles ultimately. But the bulk of the movie is Robotnik and Knuckles trying to capture Sonic to get this green emerald. Another new character is introduced named Tails, which is like a fox-looking thing that has two tails and can use them to fly. So those two are helping each other.
I did look up the woman that voiced Tails had a credit on Sonic the Hedgehog, so I don't know if it's an introduction. I have no recollection.
I don't recall either. But basically, from the previous movie, there was an owl. That was
Longfeather.
Longfeather, that was kind of
the mentor.
The mentor to Sonic, and then died trying to protect Sonic and get him to Earth. But we find out that Longthorn, what's the character's name?
I thought it was Longfeather.
The owl ends up. We find out that owl was protecting the Green Emerald, and we see that she has entrusted Sonic to do that moving forward. Right?
Right, but that he didn't know about.
But he didn't know about it. But then he finds out, and there's a map and a compass, but. Of course, the bad guys get a hold of the compass first. So Knuckles and Dr. Robotnik find the emerald. Dr. Robotnik sort of double crosses Knuckles, takes the emerald, and now he's this big ass monster that's back in, what is it, Green Hollow? Or
Green Falls?
Green Falls, where Sonic lives.
Washington.
With his parents, James Marsden and Tika Sumpter, who have been off in Hawaii at a wedding, which we'll get into later, because that was stupid. So now Dr. Robotnik is in Green Falls, and he's this big, Pacific Rim robot. But with...
That's been assembled out of the parts of these army tanks and law enforcement
And while
vehicles.
this is happening, Sonic and Knuckles, they've reconciled. Now they're friends. So now Sonic, Knuckles, and Tails are working together to defeat Robotnik. They do. They're in possession of the emerald. And they decide that moving forward, the three of them have made a pact to protect the universe from the emerald getting into the wrong hands. The end.
Which is one of 7 Chaos Gems, so it's really aping on, Avengers,
Lord of the Rings.
Lord of the Rings. Yeah,
I've never seen that.
One ring to rule them all. Yes, it's all very much that.
So, where to begin?
Where to begin? I find it funny you referred to the bad guys finding the emerald first, because the Echidnas are set up as this race that was in opposition to the owls. So it sounds like there was some ethnic cleansing going on.
Or some colonizing.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's a very interesting thing because, yes. So it is interesting.
I don't know if the owls are I should like the owls or care.
Can I just go down my nose?
Sure.
So, Sonic is... It seems like years have passed because Sonic was a little... In the first movie, he looks like a little thing, and now he's bigger, maybe a teenager, but his parents are saying he's still a kid. But they go off to Hawaii for 48 hours to attend the wedding of Tika Sumpter's sister, who's played by...
Rachel, played by Natasha Rothwell, who was in the first film too.
She was. Okay. So, and she's getting married to a character played by Shamar Moore. Mm-hmm. We'll get into the
Randall.
wedding. We'll get into the wedding. But, you know, we see that Sonic, since the last time we saw him, has sort of... He wants to be like Batman or like some sort of hero. That's what he wants, to be a hero. So every night he goes into the city trying to like stop crime.
And that city being Seattle.
Seattle. So James Marsden has to give him a talk about how like what you're doing, you know, you're getting in over your head. The day will come when you'll know that you need to step up to the plate, but now you just need to be a kid. But when it's very Ferris Bueller, like, because he's like ditching bedtime to go fight crime. And Sonic has this setup where it looks like he's in his room reading the newspaper. But when James Marsden goes in to check on him, the newspaper is upside down. And then it trips like a tape recorder to play Sonic talking and saying like, don't come in any closer. I have an upset stomach. And you hear farting. And then, of course, the plan disintegrates because the dummy falls apart. I thought that was a really fun opening.
Sure.
Like that tone. Mm-hmm. Okay.
Well, technically the opening is Jim Carrey.
Sure.
Which is also fine.
Sonic is supposed to be a kid, but he talks and sounds like a whole ass adult. Mm-hmm. So I was very confused.
Well, Ben Schwartz from Parks and Rec has voiced him in the last one, and it's still voicing him. So I found it funny that you had such gripes about that. It's like really the same as the last movie.
But did he sound like an adult?
Yeah, he sounded like this man.
Maybe because when we're introduced to him in the first one, it's like, what's a hedgehog? So who knows? Like, you're calling him a kid, but in the second movie, they really lean into the fact that he's a kid, but it's like his mentality, his thought processes, everything seems like an adult.
Well, and then in opposition to Tails, who is voiced by a woman, but this character is gendered as male.
Can I just tell you something? When we find out he's a boy, because they say it once, kind of like they gender his pronoun as he, and I was like, did I mishear that? Because Tails sounds like a girl, and
well, it's voiced by Colleen O'Shaughnessy.
But and then there were hints of it because Sonic calls Tails his buddy, and I feel like buddy is something that you would call a guy, like
sure.
like boys call each other buddies. But then he says like Tails he. I was like, oh, okay.
I thought for sure that they were slyly trying to make Tails non-binary until, of course, I started paying attention to the pronouns. But
Agreed.
And then also, what really grated to me was Idris Elba's voice work.
Can we talk about that? I wrote down that Idris sounds like he's doing an Arnold Schwarzenegger impression. It is so distracting.
It's so it feels odd and clunky.
Uncomfortable.
It's uncomfortable. Yeah. It's not funny for one.
I think it kind of ruined. I mean, the movie. I'm not going to give it a great score, but I think Idris playing Knuckles kind of ruined. I think that was the worst part of the movie.
Right, and I don't think Knuckles was very fun as a screen presence either, beyond the voice. But that voice work really kind of stops it dead in its tracks, and it kind of takes away, I think, from the zaniness of Jim Carrey, who really I felt like was in Grinch mode.
Yes,
that seemed more apparent than in the last one. He seemed like he was the Grinch again, and he has. There are a couple chuckles. There's one line where he calls Knuckles space trash.
He calls him a simple mind. He says, "You simple-minded space trash."
Yeah.
He calls his little assistant, the little attractive Indian
Agent Stone.
Well, I don't know if he's Indian. Sorry, but
Lee Majdoub. Majdub.
They seem to have sort of a gay.
He seems infatuated with Dr. Robotnik in ways.
Dr. Robotnik calls him a sycophant. I thought that was
and
funny.
Dr. Robotnik also calls himself Papa. And you can tell he's also trying to be Trumpian as well this time around.
When Sonic learns about his mission, which is to sort of protect the universe by keeping the emerald secure, we get that narration from a hologram of Longclaw, Longfellow. And I thought that was kind of funny. Because it's supposed to be an endearing moment.
It's not, and it sounds like a crusty old white lady that's voicing this owl. But that should have felt like in The Land Before Time, when you have Helen Shaver doing Littlefoot's mother, and kind of the poignancy and urgency in her voice. You know, that makes you cry.
It's missing in this one.
It's totally missing in this one.
Okay, so then when Sonic gets the map and realizes that to find the emerald, he has to go to Siberia. Then there's this really clunky scene where Sonic and Tails are in Siberia. They walk into like a bar that's supposed to seem like it's nothing but murderers and killers who are here. And then
Russians.
And then they get into some trouble and they're about to be burned alive when Tails. So of the three, Knuckles, Tails, and Sonic, Knuckles is like the muscle. He's very strong. Sonic is obviously fast, and Tails is very smart. So he has a lot of inventions. And so right before they're about to be burned alive, Tails says he has like a translator, and he translates something to the Siberian people like, it sounded like he was saying Pravanka, which basically means like we're going to battle it out.
Dancing.
And then we find out that the battle is not like a fight to the death, but it's dancing. And the main guy is this like attractive bald man who can
move.
I was very impressed by the dancing. It's so good I assumed it was CGI, but probably not. It was very impressive.
No, because there's a similar scene in Captain Volkanogov Escaped. That that's very much a traditional Russian.
It was very impressive. Yeah. But then he gets first of all, the scene in itself is stupid, but the dancing was very impressive to watch, and the music was fun. But then, of course, when it's Sonic and Tails' turn to dance, they dance to a damn Bruno Mars song. I thought that was so corny, and it just kind of ruined. Mm-hmm. I mean, but again, a movie about a cartoon hedgehog, I don't know.
Sure, but I think maybe there was a little bit more sweetness in the last
Tails, Tails' eyes are very close together. Almost like Tails looks, I don't know the appropriate word.
Jake Gyllenhaal?
Like Jake Gyllenhaal?
Is that the appropriate word?
Well, cross-eyed or cockeyed.
Oh, shit, okay.
Is not an appropriate.
Oh,
strabismus is, I don't know. The eyes are very close together.
I found Tails very grating and also gets a backstory that's just such fluff that's just all you're doing is cringing or you're rolling your eyes.
Okay, so best part of the film is Jim Carrey. Worst part to me was Knuckles, that character, and the voice work. But the most nonsensical part of the story is this wedding between, what's her name?
Natasha Rothwell and
Shamar Moore. Because this is so stupid. So
it's
from
like
the previous movie, the federal government has come to realize that Sonic is a thing and they consider him an extraterrestrial, so he's of danger, which we can get into that because I don't understand, we don't understand the parameters of, in this world, in this second movie, do people know Sonic exists? And if they do, because he's just out here in these streets, not trying to hide, the federal agency trying to hunt him down are so covert that they have Shamar Moore, a federal agent, go deep cover to marry
Natasha Rothwell, Tika
Sumpter's sister, in an effort to get close to Sonic. Is so stupid.
Who would have had to show up to the wedding so they could capture.
But I'm so confused by that because that's such a deep cover for something that seems so Sonic is out in these streets every night, and Sonic, that character, seems like if you just asked him, he would come over.
Probably. And
if an agent called and said, "Hey Sonic, we want to talk to you about what you did last night," he'd be like, "Okay, I'll meet you at the coffee shop." Why do you have to
traumatize this woman?
So we get it's like a 20-minute thing of this wedding that gets broken up, and Sonic comes in and the agents, and then Natasha is trying to get revenge on Shamar. That was so unnecessary and stupid. Combined with Tika Sumpter and James Marsden have nothing to do.
They don't.
And he's charming-ish.
Yeah.
She is so flat on screen to me because she has nothing to do.
She has nothing to do. I think she looked great in the wedding sequence.
She was fine. She looked very regular.
She's beautiful. She looks great, I think.
Sure.
But she has nothing to do. I don't know. And because of that...
I thought Natasha was more striking.
Well, she has more to do. But again, I felt bad for this woman, this actor, because she has nothing... Where this should have really popped, it just doesn't, because I think it's made for children, and she has to dial it down. And we've seen her play characters like this before, including in Insecure, where she's utilized much better.
Right.
Or The White Lotus recently.
That's right.
But I could have used a lot more with her.
My issue with also the casting is Natasha is a beautiful woman, mm-hmm. and in this story, we only see her in her wedding dress. She looks beautiful. Shamar Moore is obviously a very handsome man, but he's, he doesn't look like he did 20 years ago. And I think the idea is supposed to be he's too good for her. But I actually thought the opposite. She seems too good for him. So I think the joke that's supposed to be there doesn't work. Also,
well, Shamar Moore, last time, I feel like I can't recall anything outside of Diary of a Mad Black Woman.
well, no, we watched, what's that, CSI or whatever show he's on?
Oh, I don't watch that.
We watched it, one time in Minneapolis with your sister, we watched several episodes.
Oh, I wasn't paying attention to that. But his facial hair in this is...
His facial hair is so distracting.
Interesting.
It looks like they have painted it all on. He looks crazy. And then there's like a shirtless scene with him and his best man. Everyone at the wedding is a federal agent, where he's supposed to seem all jacked and ripped, and they're all doing push-ups, and he's talking about doing like a Pilates something or other.
And he's pulverizing James Marsden in volleyball.
And then they're like, and then Shamar Moore is like shirtless and all greased up and sort of like, he's not antagonizing James Marsden, but he's like, come on, let's like do something. And he like flexes in front of him. And the joke is supposed to be that James Marsden is sort of like this dorky, lame, weak guy. But then James Marsden flexes for Shamar, and James Marsden looks like he's in better shape and more muscular than Shamar.
It's interesting. Yeah, well, he's
so
also...
that didn't make sense either.
They're both very attractive people, so it's like...
Yeah, like the joke's not there, and I just don't think that the joke of Shamar being too good for Natasha made any sense. Because he seems kind of lame.
Yes.
And she doesn't, so... That didn't
yeah,
work
she
for me.
seems like a very strong, with it personality that he would be able to pull this ruse on her. Even makes her seem stupid, and I think that's what seems demeaning. It's like this is not a stupid person.
Yes, I agree. Then part of the wedding scene, there's a plot point that's so stupid. Is that Sonic has those rings that allow him to transport, and the reason Sonic even ends up at this wedding in Hawaii, because he's in Siberia trying to find this thing, is because he's being chased and he's about to be killed. And he knows that James Marsden has another ring because Sonic has lost all of his rings. So he's like, you need to throw a ring and get me to where you are. But in a previous scene, James Marsden had accidentally grabbed one of the wedding rings.
There's an innocuous scene with the ring bearer. It's not because you're like, oh.
It's just making this thing, whatever. So then James goes to throw the ring and it doesn't teleport Sonic, and he's like, oh my god, it's the wedding ring. And of course, right as he needs the wedding ring, Shamar's trying to put the ring on Natasha. And that was so grating because it's like he's just like a bumbling idiot for no reason. He could have just walked up to the man and said,
I'm sorry, here's your ring.
Here's your ring. I took the wrong ring. But instead he punches Shamar, which creates this entire thing. And then of course gets the ring. Sonic floods, ruins the wedding, blah, blah, blah.
But all's well that ends well because Rachel does get to have a scene with Randall where she asks if it was all a lie. And he says, what a woman you are. I violated the first rule of undercover work, which is to never fall in love. I'm pretty sure that's not the first rule.
So the movie's long. It's like 2 hours. It felt very long. And I feel like the first hour was unnecessary. I think the film could have started right before. So when Dr. Robotnik and Knuckles get a compass to find the emerald. They steal it from Sonic. And they end up at this temple. And I thought that's where the movie really picked up. Because then it feels like a video game and it feels like something that kids would be into. But the first hour felt like, who is this movie for?
Exactly. I think the whole film, its existence is unnecessary. I like Jim Carrey. I wish he would work on other projects because he could probably do whatever he would like. And maybe he does need something more to do so he wouldn't pontificate about vaccinations as much as he has. But it just seems like such a vibrant personality that he is so wasted on this because he's making references to things that there are no children that get this, and the adults that are dragging their kids to this, I doubt that they are coming for that either.
I will say Jim Carrey, so he gets a hold of the emerald and now he has all the power in the universe and he becomes electrified. So when we first see him rejoin with his little Indian boyfriend, or I don't know if that man's Indian, sorry. The handsome man who's like his...
that runs the Mean Bean coffee shop. Mm-hmm.
He... I thought that was really cool because he seems kind of scary. It kind of reminded me of from Howard the Duck when that one character...
Jeffrey Jones?
Yes, when he becomes he starts to become that creature. Mm-hmm. I thought that was fun. And then, Jim Carrey has a lot of flourishes that I think are kind of wasted on this movie. Because, kids aren't going to get it. The adults who are going to see it probably don't care. So, like they're not there for that.
Right, and even the score, Junkie XL does the score, who did, of course, the score for Deadpool, and Mad Max Fury Road. I think we're also wasted on something like this.
I don't have much else to say. I feel still even reviewing a movie like this, but...
Well, it's there and screening, and I guess we have opinions.
What would you give it?
1. What do we do? I mean...
I would give it 2 out of 5 because I think there is a lot, like especially with Jim Carrey, and I think Sonic is cute, and there were moments I got a little emotional, but then there are also so many moments where like characters are literally explaining to, I guess, the kids watching, like, you had a chance to destroy me. Why didn't you? Because, Sonic, that's not what a hero would do. Like, it just, in some moments, seems so basic, and then in some moments seems a little subversive with Jim Carrey. And so, it's tolerable. I think if it's streaming, like as an adult, I could sit through it while I'm working, maybe.
I mean, it's better than Morbius.
Yeah. Well, I gave Morbius 1.5.
I gave it the same score. I think they're both trash, but you know, there's a difference between certain types of trash. You can recycle some trash, right, and then some just sits there forever and never
Well,
goes
this
away.
video is over 20 minutes long. Do you have anything else?
No.
Listen to our podcast. Bye.